That's what we're going to be talking about today is sales. Sales techniques that professionals might use in order to get you to buy their products and things like that. And I know that I've been subject to buying things that I probably didn't want to buy because of sales techniques and things like that. Brendan's nodding his head, so he agrees. So what we might do is we might actually have a look at a few techniques that are used by salespeople on us to make us buy their products, and perhaps some ways we can avoid purchasing these products. So welcome everybody to today.
Right.
Now, what I want to do is I want to start by asking who's a sales professional? Who sells for a living right now? Adrian,
Me.
Margaret,
Partially, yeah.
and Brendan partially. All right, so what I might do is I might Margaret, can you tell us what you do and what you sell?
Okay, electronic components. So I'm the semiconductor sales business. So we sell into manufacturing here in Australia, the Australian market. So we import product in from overseas and sell it on here as effectively like a broker almost into manufacturing here in all sorts of industries, from medicine, medical, instrumentation, petrol pumps, audio, all sorts of things. You name it.
So do you sell to customers or to businesses?
Customers. So we don't
Right.
sell the end product. So we sell either direct to the customer who's manufacturing directly themselves, their own in-house manufacturing, but a lot of our product goes into customers who actually do what we call board loading, where they manufacture the product and then supply the completed product to the business, and then the business then sells it as a completed product or unit.
Okay, great. All right. And Adrian, what do you sell?
Well, it's interesting because I actually run a company called Maven Sales Intelligence, and we sell just about everything because I've cracked how to sell anything to anybody, and I have a proprietary way of finding leads that are almost pre-qualified for most of our clients. And I started off hating sales, afraid of sales, afraid of asking people for money, and got trained by several people in-house for big companies I was working for, and it changed my whole paradigm on sales and led me to a great quote by Robert Louis Stevenson, and that is that everybody lives by selling something. If you are not selling a product or a service or your time, you're selling your body, your soul, or somebody else's property. So in order to stay alive as a human, you're selling something, and that sale doesn't always have to be a commercial transaction. It can be a presentation to get you a job, a promotion, an investor, or people to join a group. You might be a part of a political organization, a community group. And I just love how Sally made that entrance. If we could all do that every week, and it was just like Sally just jumped out. Just do it again. And I hope you're seeing this on Facebook with the streaming.
You
It's
will
just
not be seeing
awesome.
them
It's
because
like a Muppet.
you're ugly, Mark.
It's like the Muppet Show. Maybe we should have the opening like the Muppet Show. But in summary, in order, if you didn't inherit wealth and you don't need to work or whatever, or you've got money working for you, you really do need to live by selling something. And it's what I was talking about with this lady yesterday is the fact that they don't teach it in schools directly, but they do teach it indirectly with things like debating teams, sports teams, where people are effectively selling themselves. And as we drill down to, what it is with kids can be great salespeople because they'll actually start asking selling questions to their parents to make sure the parents in the right state of mind to buy whatever they're pitching. and they might ask questions like, oh, are you going to be busy tomorrow? Are you going to be near this shopping mall that's on the other side of town? To just qualify the parent to be in buying mode for the idea that they want the parent to take them somewhere with their friend on that time. So, and they do it with such innocence and determination at the same time, and it's not recognized as sales training. And for a generation of people, like, I think you're all pretty clear on the fact that the education system has taught people to be employees for most of history. And we're
I don't
getting
know
to
if
the
it's most
stage
of
where,
history. I think it's the last 100 years.
well, if you look at what
200, but yeah.
Well,
young
since
parents,
the industrial age.
I would say young parents, and I would class me as that too, despite my age and becoming a parent. I look at it is that I don't want to teach my kids to be an employee. I want to teach them how to be whatever they want, and I will show them how to sell themselves to that industry so that they get an income from it. I don't want my kids to perform in school to become someone else's employee. I will find a way to monetize what they're good at and what they love doing and what's going to help the world and what's going to pay well, so that they don't have to work for somebody else.
All right, thank you for that, Adrian. So, Brendan, you said you do sales as well. What do you sell?
Yeah, so
Sales.
I'm kind of, as you're aware, Paul, I've built an online application to digitize the making of wills. However, in a little bit of a pause at the moment, because what we have found is that we're selling something that people need but don't want. So my background originally is not sales, it's finance and business. But myself and my wife ran a sales company in recruitment and staffing for a bunch of years. And sales is a big part of my life now. So, and we'll get onto the details. What I've discovered in the product that I've built is even though people need it, they don't want it. So what I've been working on for the last few months is how to actually get the message across that they want it, even if they don't think they need it, to reverse the equation. So we're talking about sales techniques. And probably the one that's really in my mind at the moment is how do I get people to come to me instead of me going to them, which is what I've been trying to do. And I think I may have cracked it, and we may get onto this. And Adrian, you and I have talked in loads of things, but I've never gone into the sales psychology with you. And yet for the last 3 months, probably, I've been thinking about nothing except how the hell do I get people to wake up? And instead of, in the chat that we're having on the sidebar, you go to Coles or Woolies and you get the free stuff. We all know that's just a bait. It's a hook to get you in the door. And we all despise it. But having said that, if you're going to do sales, you need to have some equivalent, preferably based on some principles. But at the same time, if people get something in their brain that says, I need this, my 20-year-old came in yesterday and he said, Dad, I have a new pair of sunglasses. And I went, oh, yeah. As in, my tone was extremely bored. And he says, yeah, they're Gucci. And I went, oh, yeah. And what I meant is, oh, God, how much did you spend on them? And he said, no, I got them for free. So I went, that's great. Did you have to spend anything extra for them? And he said, no, I actually did something for somebody and they gave me a damaged pair from their store. And I went, you know what? My son is actually quite a good salesperson and he doesn't know it. And it's all about going back to your original comment, Paul, and Adrian, that sales is about how you present yourself to the world. Sometimes you're selling an idea, sometimes you're selling yourself. I did smile when you said you may be selling your body. I haven't quite got to that stage yet, but quite often you want to sell something for commercial gain, because if we don't do that, whether it's an hour of our time or whether it's a product, we'll ultimately starve.
All right, thank you for that. Peter, you didn't put your hand up, but do you sell anything or have you ever sold before?
I sell myself all the time, mate. That's what life's about, isn't it? You've got to sell yourself. But look, I've done sales. I did sales with Angelica actually for a while. It's how we actually met. Yeah, that's a long time ago. She came in to do the sales, and anyway, we ended up running seminars and were running around trying to do seminars and things like that. But that was many moons ago. That was when I still had a bit of hair. Hair's
Right,
overrated.
so,
I reckon.
yeah, I don't know when you got none, it is. All right, Alison, and then I get to Sally last, right? Alison, I know you sell your courses. You're this amazing personal development coach. So, what?
Thank you.
Tell us about what you sell.
And I also am now into affiliate marketing. So I'd certainly agree that you sell yourself, because every time you open in fact, every time you walk in or someone looks at you, that you're selling yourself, whether you're aware or not. And how you present yourself in terms of whether you groom yourself well or whether you're kind of unkempt or smelly or whatever is about selling yourself as well. And because I do self-love, it's all about who you are, is how you're selling yourself, including to yourself, if I might say. So yes, I do have coaching services that I sell. I do have courses that I sell, and now I'm into affiliate marketing that I'm selling. I also actually have products, because I'm as a bling angel. I also can sell you a bling, find your bling game. So I didn't realize how much I sold now, and there you go. But it's, for me, it's all about service. And I think when we approach sales with a service perspective, that you're actually wanting to help someone, then for me it's less tacky. I don't say necessarily it's easy for me, because sales is not kind of something that I align myself, like is not something I align myself with. But I certainly believe that serving people is something that should be the bottom line, or the underpinning principle behind sales. Because when we are making life easier or better for someone, then what could be better than that? And then why wouldn't you want to sell it to them, and why wouldn't you want them to buy it? Not just because it gives you something, but it actually gives them something too.
I agree with that. Yeah, I agree. Like sales, even though in our industry they've got requirements that they want, but what makes me different, or what makes them want to buy from me as opposed to someone else's, and what I generally work on is that it's service. I'm offering value in the way that we service the account, that you support them, you look after them, and you build those relationships. And it doesn't always come down to price. Sometimes they'll place an order with me, even though I'm not the best price, but because they know they can count on me, or they can guarantee that I'll push it through as best I can and get the lead time or delivery that they need. So we deal in manufacturing, so there's huge issues when something comes in late, or you've got a whole production line stopped because one component worth not even a cent's not there to finish it. So constantly under pressure to make sure we deliver service. So our business it's been running now for over 30 years in the Australian market, and by all rights we shouldn't still exist. There's no reason why we should exist in the market, and what places us differently is our service, our personalised one-on-one, and really getting close to that, building those relationships with the customer. So it's funny that we're still making money in an industry. I'm surprised we've been able to be honest.
Yeah, look, Margaret, I've got no doubt that everybody in this group has ethical sales. And later on, after I've introduced Sally, I want to actually get into some of the sales tricks that get us to buy, that perhaps we don't, we purchase things that maybe we can't afford to purchase, but we feel that we have to buy them. But I want to go to Sally, because Sally's done this amazing thing. She's created her own clothing brand, and you can see she's wearing it now. So Sally, you got to talk, else no one will see you.
Yes, I'm choosing to love today. But just on that ethical part, I had written down that sales is a perception, and it's aligning values with the customers and also getting value. So it's aligning the values, and people will pay more for something that they value, that it fits in with their values, which is linking in with my clothing as well. Yeah, so with this new age shift, right? So we're doing this quantum shift, whether you're on board or not, going from the old world to the new world. This new world is very much about not selling to people. It's about people resonating towards what you've got to sell or on sale or are offering. So it's about being in your flow, in your alignment, and just being very comfortable and getting out of that out of the head about worry about finances, about sales, anything. It's just about trusting, believing, and allowing, and resonating that out, and people are drawn in. Now, I know it's far-fetched and whatever, but that is what I'm positioning with what I'm doing with my stuff. And it's amazing what doors open. And, you know, I've just got too many clients coming to me now in my PT stuff, for example. And so I literally doubled the prices, and they're still coming because I'm resonating. I'm in my resonant field of where I'm just aligned with my frequency, vibration, and energy, because the head is frequency, and that can overdo the thought process of like the logical brain. I've got to make this many sales in this category in this way to get this much income in. Whereas when I'm resonating, the income's coming in from different areas that I would never have expected. So I do feel this is probably not making too much sense, but in this new world, it's about resonating and feeling into what you're selling. So it has to be authentic, like you were saying, ethical or whatever, but you've got to truly believe in the product that you've got, not just going out flogging anything. You've got to be in that, connected with whatever your product is or service. And then people will be drawn to that because you'll be in your baseline, authentic, resonating self, and people will go. And that's why I worked with you, Paul, because I felt that you were authentic. I thought you were original. And the same when I reached out to Brendan about the wills, I was drawn to him as a person because he was authentic. He is the product or the service. Do you know what I mean? So you're the front person for it, and I bought from you because of you. Not so much about the insurance, but I trusted your guidance, right? And the same thing with Brendan. So in a very long-winded, garbled way, I feel the new world is very much about people resonating with you if you're representing what it is. And you have to be authentic about your product or service. So I think it's a very big shift away from just the old $2 plastic things that mean nothing. It's about authentic stuff. So we're going back to basics. You know, it's like handmade goods for Christmas or for kids and stuff. It's going into quality products away from the, you know, kids love the box. It's not all the things are inside of the box, that sort of stuff. And it's bringing it back to basics. And I really feel that's the way that sales will be and products down the track. Just putting it out
Thank
there.
you for that. Okay, so as I said, really, what I want to get into is perhaps some of the ways that professionals might get you to purchase something that perhaps you can't afford to purchase. And the reason this came to my mind was last week or the week before when Alison was telling us how she signed up with Tony Robbins after going to a free seminar. And she loved what Anthony had to say. And I don't know how much the course cost, but I think it's not cheap. I don't think he's cheap. Well, cheap is what you make of it, I suppose. And then Brendan, come on, Brendan, what did you say?
Look, Tony Robbins, and I've never done his course, so I'm being a little bit maybe uninformed or unfair here, but I have done over the years a fair amount of the personal development stuff. My clear observation is that the first session is always free, and the first session is always highly engaging, mainly because you get information that you didn't have before. So it really hits you in the dopamine and it gets you going. You then sign up for the first level and you get something solid out of that. And what's more, you get enthusiasm, you're part of a crowd. Then you sign up for the next level and the next level. And before you know it, you're actually on the top floor of the Scientology building in Los Angeles. So I'm quite a little bit skeptical. And I know that people swear by Tony Robbins, but I think most of you know I'm a numbers guy. Everything comes back to not emotion, results. And I've never, ever seen from Robbins or anybody else the real proportion of people that become millionaires or successful, because it's like every website that has ever been put up in the history of the internet. You will always see the testimonials that are glowing. And, you know, thanks Sally and Alison and anyone that I've ever talked to before, I'm really happy to put you guys up on my website because you think I'm okay. But I'm not going to put up the person that I tripped over or made a mistake with, or because I'm human, have messed around, and neither does a business. So I am not convinced about that heavy arm twisting, emotional twisting, knicker twisting, Tony Robbins approach that engages your emotion, as opposed to this is it, this is the service, this is the actual outcome, these are your safety nets, etc., etc. I'm just a little bit wary.
Right, thank you for that. So I'm now going to hand over to Alison. There's two questions. The first question is, when you went into Anthony Robbins' free seminar, did you go in saying, I'm not going to buy anything, or were you open to perhaps purchasing something? And secondly, why did you end up buying Tony Robbins' course?
Well, I went there because it was, I said, it was a free thing, and I wasn't sort of spending anything or any money on something I didn't know about, right? And my sales strategy is generally see it, buy it. So three steps: see it, like it, buy it. That's my sales strategy. I'm a shocker in terms of buying stuff, compulsively, whatever you might call it. But with Tony Robbins, I kind of wanted to suss him out a bit because I've actually seen previous things that he and Dean Graziosi were selling, and I kind of just didn't like the way it was being sold. But because having read his book now, and now this opportunity had come up where it was just him, I thought, let me go and suss it out, because for years I'd been bagging him out without even knowing. And what I didn't say last time is, he does all that jumping stuff and all that rah-rah stuff. And I had been to an Amway meeting years ago, and I was so freaking Amway, I thought, no. Anyway, now having been to that thing, the whole jumping thing is about energy, and it's about keeping your energy high so that your concentration, and again, neurologically, I think when you're kind of, when you're engaged on an emotional level as well, you learn better as well. So there's some kind of methodology or theory behind what he's doing. So again, a lot of those sort of prejudgments I had had a reason, and now it made logical sense to me. So I was able to sort of see behind that. So I went in to see what he was sort of going to talk about, because everybody talks about Tony Robbins. And because it was free, it wasn't costing me anything except getting up at 6 o'clock in the morning. And that costs me actually, because I don't like getting up really early. And it was for 3 days. So it gave me a chance to kind of get immersed in what he was doing. And I found I really liked it. And there were lots of things. So there's a lot of things in coaching actually, are attributed to Tony Robbins, or he will kind of make more popular and what have you. So it very much aligned. A lot of the things he was talking about aligned with what I do as a coach, and things I could bring into my coaching, which I don't do quite yet. So from that perspective, I really liked it. The reason I bought is, I think it was $490, for like under $500 US, which was like $750 for me, and that was doable. That was the price I was willing to pay. Had it been 3 figures or more, sorry, 3 figures. Yeah, I'm a numbers girl. Had it been 4 figures, I'd have gone, nah, I'm not paying this, because it's like 1.5 times, right? I'm not paying $1,000 plus. So it was an amount of money I was comfortable putting out. And the other thing that people do, especially in the coaching world or the online world, is there are all these freebies, all the bonuses. But I must say that those things were also valuable. They're things that I found value in. So I was more than happy to sign up to do the course, which is starting in about 2 or 3 weeks. And it is going to start at Sparrows, 2 a.m. to 2 p.m. You too, Adrian?
No, I'm
Anyways.
just putting my hand up to say something after you, sweetheart.
No worries. So take a breath, Alison. Right. Yeah. So there are lots of things I kind of liked in the content that he was talking about that was useful for me, both as an individual, but also for my coaching business. And that was, the reason that I decided to sign up for his program as well. And I will now give Adrian a chance. So thank you.
It's not about a chance, Alison. But I'll work backwards from you, because coaching is a particular industry. And I would have to say, honestly, that if you're if anybody is a coach or has a coaching course, if you don't have an app to go with that, where people can learn on demand at their own time, anywhere they are, and that app has to be on their phone, you're really pushing the rock uphill in the rain on mud, because time is what people don't have, and they need stuff like that. They do their learning on demand. That's why people look on the internet for answers quickly rather than do a course. And that's all I'll say on it. Actually, if you want to hear more about that, I can have a private conversation with you about that, because it really works having an app in coaching. And that's why traditionally I've stayed away from retail, because you're dealing with masses of people who have their own perspective and opinion about products and where things are going. And they're very difficult, really difficult to work out your marketing for 1 million people as opposed to a niche. And, you know, the greatest takeaway I've got from a course I did through an app was that advertising is a financial penalty for having a crappy product. And if you tattoo that inside your mind, you'll find that the places and things that do not need to advertise, and people find them nowhere, no matter where they are, have something that is perceived, if not actually, a necessity. So just remember that, you know, advertising is a financial penalty for a crappy product. And if we go, that's why I stick with business sales. And I got a lot of secrets I could share with you about selling business to business, Margaret, that would help you too. That is like
Well,
really phenomenal, especially you, Brendan. And I'll go into those later.
I might ask for some of those, but Brendan did put up his hand. What did you want to add to that, Brendan?
Yeah, I just wanted to follow on from that statement, Adrian, that advertising is a penalty for a crappy product. I partially agree with you. It certainly promotes crappy products, and the most obvious example of that at the moment, I'm certain each one of you have seen 2.5 billion ads for Temu, the latest version of Shein and Wish and all those online absolute crap sites. But they're working. So advertising does work for crappy products. However, advertising also can be the cost to get a good product to market. And I've used this story I'm just quickly about to tell you many, many times, in that about 100 years ago, toothpaste went from being an absolutely unknown, unsold product to being a very successful product because of advertising. So, okay, we can exist without toothpaste, but it actually is really good for dental health and oral hygiene. And if it wasn't for advertising, and he's a classic study of the marketing genius who actually didn't sell the health benefits of it whatsoever. What he did was he got people in the US to run their tongue over their teeth after brushing. And it was that physical reaction they had to, oh, this is really a nice physical feeling or taste in my mouth. So it disguises bad products. And unfortunately, it actually engages people who are open to buying bad products. But it is also an essential part of getting good products to market when it's either a new area or when there are barriers to entry.
I also think that advertising is also about brand recognition. I think Coca-Cola, KFC, McDonald's advertise not to sell, but just so that you always have this brand recognition in the front of your forehead. So I do think so. One of the things that I want to talk about is some of the techniques that they might use in order to kind of hurry you up to make a decision. I know that in a lot of these seminars you go to, they give you a price that if you buy today, this is the price for today, but tomorrow it's off the table and it's going to cost you an extra 30 or 60 or twice as much. And even the BX right now, I'm copying it from, you know, we've got this diamond package going now because the prices are going to go up. So I think one of the things people hate is losing out on something, and they use that very effectively. Margaret, can you tell us about that? Do you use that technique, or what's your view on
Not
the
so not so much. Yeah, sometimes we do. So if we've got a part and we're trying to push them to order, and we can only hold that price for so long. The supplier may not maintain it if you don't order it now. In a month's time, if you come back, it may not be the same price. We do it it's not a regular tactic. We tend to do probably what I do a lot is more bundling. So I might quote on 200 items on a printed circuit board, and I'll pick out the parts that I know I can make a reasonable margin on, and then I'll throw in parts as like throwaway, like freebies effectively, I suppose. But by getting that, I'm getting a bulk quantity, I'm getting bulk purchase price on things, and I can use that to bundle with my supply chain. So we tend to do that probably a little bit more often. That's probably the main techniques I would use. But yeah, a little bit of pressure buying, like buy it now because I can't guarantee we can hold that price. Delivery times are going out, and sort of find a pressure point that might flip the deal my way instead of sitting back and hoping it might come in a week or two.
So has anybody gone out and purchased something that they wanted to have a little bit more time to think about, but because of this time restrictions, that they've actually gone ahead and done it? And I know I've done it on many occasions, and I know that it's cost me tens of thousands of dollars. Sally, I saw you nodding your head. Oh, sorry, I might have put you on mute. Someone was noisy.
No, that's all right. Unmuted most. So purchasing something when you're kind of under pressure, is that what you mean?
Yeah, they put the pressure on you. You've got till the end of today to purchase, or the prices go up, or there's
Yeah.
not
Oh,
enough. There's only one TV in the store. You buy this one, even though there's a whole load in the
yeah. Even
background.
like I went to a workshop, which was a weekend workshop, and it was $250 or something for the workshop. At the end of it, they said, right, if you want to do the course, before you leave here, you've got to put down $1,000. And it's like, oh my God. It's like I got sucked in, but I was really wanting to do the course. But I just thought, like, if I leave now, I've got to pay $1,000. And when you're under pressure, you don't think straight, because then if I'd got home and go, well, bugger it, I don't have to pay $1,000 today, but I did. And then the next day they ring you up for a clarity call, and I ended up paying 15 grand for this course. But I was put under pressure, when they just get you cornered and make you also intimidate you, and also, everyone else is doing it, so you have to do it. So, it's the pressure thing that I can't stand, and I get sucked in all the time.
Peer
And
pressure, because
Yeah, that's right.
salespeople are traditionally taught to use urgency in the close
Mm,
as a way to push it forward so it's on that day. And that's the biggest thing, is that it's going to be more expensive later if you don't
yeah.
do it. So, but it depends how much research you've done on the product, and sometimes you are approached by someone with an offer and it's too good to be true. But let's face it, we're all old enough to know that is a red flag to wait. I think with you were talking in the chat about freemiums. Okay, that started toothpaste was definitely a referral business, despite they had advertising, because you had a whole army of dentists telling people to use it. So that gave the appearance of authority, opinion, saying it was something to buy. Kellogg's invented breakfast. Gillette gave you the razor they gave you the handle of the razor for free, but you had to buy the blades. And that method of retail, the give something free as a free teaser, translated into how they got kids and the crack epidemic in America. Because what they would do is give people a free sample. And there was another level to that, is that crack, which was highly successful as a retail product in America, it was the fastest growing industry, because smoking it became the optimal way to sell how it should be used, because white kids didn't want to inject. They didn't want to inject it, but smoking was socially acceptable by white kids. And then they gave everyone free samples to get them going. And in Australia, we have a great example of the freemium product that is our most successful internet company in Australia, Canva, who have gone around the world and they let people use the product for free, and then you upgrade if you want to do something funky that's got better animation and stuff, and it works very well. It's the, try before you buy.
Look, I've used
Yeah.
Canva before. Canva's really great as well. I get to you, and I haven't heard from Peter for a while. But one thing Alison's put up is Robert Cialdini's book, Influence. I was actually listening to that last week, and there's so many sales techniques that are used in order to get people to do things that they really don't want to do. And perhaps we need to break them down into smaller chunks, just so that we can understand them all. Brendan, what did you want to add?
Look, I was going to use the most unprincipled sales technique where pressure is brought to bear and urgency is actually now an extreme, is real estate sales. The auction of a house or an apartment where you get 50 or 100 people standing on a street, and a very practiced salesperson stands there and hypes it and hypes it and hypes it, so that you absolutely crap yourself that you're going to be homeless unless you spend $14 million on a shoebox in a tower in Sydney. It's unprincipled and it's very successful. And because it's been done for 1,000 years, it is acceptable socially, but in my view, it's unprincipled.
Look, I know my experience when I bought our house was, as soon as it was an auction, as soon as the bidders knew that we were interested, one of the real estate people came behind our shoulder as, I'm on your side. I want to help you get this house. But he's not on my side. He wanted to get as much money as he can for the purchaser. Peter, I haven't heard from you for a while. What do you have to add to this? Or is he frozen out?
Frozen.
Oh, I think. Oh, you there, Peter? Or have I put you on mute?
You want
You
me?
muted.
Yeah.
I'm on mute because I've got a guy doing a bit of work here. That's all.
Yep. No, that's right.
And
Yeah.
a bit of background noise. So I've been on mute for a while.
I thought it was just someone breaking into your house, and you were...
You're the guy.
It did look a little strange.
He came in with his nub on. His tools are in the other room in there. So
it looked like he was going for your microwave, mate.
So Peter, have you ever had anybody sell you something and use sales techniques in order for you to go into urgency, perhaps buying something you didn't want to buy?
Oh, look, I've bought things online that and it's training seminars and things like that. And you think, why the hell did I get that? But a few beers under your belt or something like that, not concentrating and thinking, oh, okay. But buying useless things. But like Sally talked about seminars and things like that. And I think Brendan got it spot on there with what they do there. Like I've done loads and loads of stuff, and there's always the second course after the first one. There's always the second one, and normally the second one, there's a third one that you can do. And they just go up and up in price. But I did some great ones. I did some property ones years ago that was the best thing I ever did. It changed my life. I did some option trading ones, and I actually ended up going around teaching people how to trade options and things. So I think personal development is a good way. I'm easy sucked into things like that because I'm always trying to get better, be better, smarter today than what I was yesterday. And that's what I always used to say to my kids. I used to say, what did you learn today at school? And they'd say, oh, nothing. I'd say, well, what's the way, you got to be smarter today than what you were yesterday. And it's just, I'm easily sold on things like that. I'm a lot easier sold on things like that than wanting to buy a car or clothes or anything like that. I'm pretty hard to sell to. I actually hate shopping and buying stuff. I really do.
But
Most of my
do you
stuff
mind if
comes
I
from my
just pick
city.
up?
Yeah.
Apologies, Peter. Do you mind if I pick up that point? I think what you said there is huge, in that the average age on this conversation is a touch over 21. And we've seen it all, and many of us have done it all. And we're much more resistant to my 18-year-old daughter, who will actually buy some fluff that's floating by outside the door if it's on the newest website. So, you know, that experience thing is huge.
Mm. Oh, I've
What-
bought many things after a few wines online and wondered what I was doing, and the buy one, get one free, or buy three and then like two of them are free or something. And it sounds like a good idea at the time, and then they arrive and none of them fit you. And then you've got 3 useless items sitting in your room going, well, we'll just put that out to charity again.
As well as your
Right.
husband.
Right.
Well,
So,
he's already on the
so one of the things Sally wrote in the chat was that her eye doctor put in a appointment straight away. I know that happened to me with a dentist. And a month later, I just went to the dentist and cancelled it. So you can do that, Sally. What I want to do is just everybody, I want to finish with one tip that everybody has that can help somebody who sells in order to perhaps get somebody else across the line. For instance, I sell insurance. I need people to sign documents. And whenever I need somebody to sign the document, I don't say sign here. I always say please authorize here, because the word sign has this, it loads up in your mind that there's a contract. And using the word authorize actually makes it a lot easier for somebody to actually sign the documents. So mine is please authorize. I'll start with Adrian. Why don't you tell us your one quick tip?
Don't go wide. Don't try to sell wide. You're asking people how to sell. You want best advice, and best way I've ever heard it explained is find a niche that is an inch wide and a mile deep. So millions of people that are a particular type, and you've got to drill it down. That's if it's a new product for you and a new business for you, or your existing. Good. If it's an existing business, look at your most productive clients, the 20% that give you 80% of your revenue, and drill down meticulously to what makes them similar, whether it was the time they bought, the place they bought, the product they bought, why they bought. Because if you use that concept of the niche, and never forget the image of a niche being an inch wide and a mile deep, is enough to feed anybody for a very long time, because it focuses all your marketing and your emails only for that type of people. The hardest thing to do when you're writing an email to a prospect is finding the right word. But if you know how to speak to them as that avatar, the words come to you much easier. Your marketing is more refined and focused. And the great thing is that becomes a passive income for you in terms of your business operation, that you can then find the second most popular niche and do the same thing and duplicate.
Okay, thank you for that, Adrian. All right, I'll go Sally. One little tip.
Oh, I would just say be more of you, not do more, just be more of yourself.
Yeah, no, that's a good tip. I was listening to some of what's happening in your life. It's quite amazing. All these awards, huh?
Well, it's like with all of us, we were just saying, be authentic, just be yourself, right? And just allow that to just resonate out, because you can, if it looks like shit, smells like shit, it is shit. And you can pick a dodgy dude a mile off.
Yeah,
Paul, I would like to say, I mean, I put in my chat my phone number to send an SMS, because in my old age now, I'm really concentrate on working smart rather than hard. And the key is to not go out selling, is to attract the sales. And I will show you how to do that. And you will not need to pay me thousands of dollars or scores of hours. I will show you very quickly how to do it for your business.
Thank you.
Cool.
Alison, one tip or trick, I won't call that trick, one tip you've got to help people make it easier to purchase your products.
Well, two things, because I can never stick to one. So just to piggyback off Adrian, I really like, the inch wide and the mile deep. And the way to find that out is to Google whatever you're selling or whatever niche you're in and see how many searches there are on that. And if you've got like more than 10,000, one of the coaches that I was with said that is a reasonable niche to kind of pursue. So that's that. And kind of going on what Sally was saying, when you're actually coming from a place of authenticity in being you, then you won't come across as being salesy. You won't come across as being sleazy unless you are, right? In which case you definitely need to be off the market. So yeah, those are two things one thing I learned and one thing I do. Thanks.
Thank you, Alison. Margaret. Now you're on mute.
I'm muted. The kids just left school up the road, getting noisy out the front. I suppose my tip is similar to what Adrian was mentioning about finding your niche, finding where you fit in the market, and focusing on your strengths as what you can offer. I suppose that's sort of where I'm coming from is what differs you and what puts you above the rest, or what puts you in a position where you're positioned, in the forefront. And the other thing is about building that relationship where, similar to KFC, McDonald's, you're at the forefront of their mind. So when they're in trouble, they want to find a part, or they're looking for someone to turn to ask questions, that you're one of the ones that they ring first or touch base with. So you're sort of like a person they think of first when they want support.
Thank you, Margaret. All right, Peter, one tip.
I think the one tip I'd have is just sell something that you believe in. I couldn't sell something that I didn't believe in. There's no way to buy something if I didn't believe in and know that I was selling a good product, that it was a competitive price, similar to a competitor, and better product. Like, you've got to know your opposition to whatever you're selling, and it's I've, like I say, I haven't done too much sales, but when I have done sales, I could only sell something that I believed in. If I've tried to sell stuff that I knew was a little bit dodgy, and I'm thinking, and you know what, I was lousy at it. So that's because it comes out. Like Sally said, you got to be yourself, and if you believe in something and you can genuinely get that across to your customer, well, then you've got a much better chance of selling something, I feel.
Right, thank you, Peter. And lucky last, Brendan.
Going back to first principles, if you can use comfortable silence, the way I speak it, you might find it hard to believe, but if you as the salesperson can shut up in a comfortable environment, it's almost guaranteed that the other person will tell you and give you the messages and tell you what they really want, which you can then follow up on. So it's kind of silent listening, if I want to put it like that.
That comfortable silence is so powerful. It's so hard to do when you're first starting out to do it, but it's so powerful. Great tip. All right then, well, thank you all for your input today. I know one of the things is I think the best salesmen in the world are children, as somebody said earlier on. I know that my kids know how to get money out of us no matter what. With that, thank you all for your time today.
Thank you.
Thanks, everybody.
See you,
Have a
everyone.
good one.
Thanks, Paul. See you all.
Thank you.
Thanks, folks.
Thank you.
Cheers.
Oh,
Bye.
where's Peter? Hey, Peter.
Yeah.
I'll put you up on TikTok. The copper story, right?
The copper story.
Yeah.
Yeah, on TikTok, it went fucking mental.
It went over 14,000 and it's still going ballistic.
Send me the
What
link.
I'll
What was
send
that?
you.
on-
What was
on
that?
Tik-
Did you get
on
any
Tik-
links or what? When was this? What happened?
I
I know
put
what
it up 2 days ago, right? Because I was just speaking to my friend and I was talking about about YouTube and the algorithm and how frustrating it is. I said, oh, let me try TikTok. And I put Brendan's thing up about the Pope. And like in the first 40 minutes, I got 200 views. Oh, this is interesting. So I've started using TikTok as well. I took the
You
Brendan's
should
one
use
off.
TikTok.
So,
So what's it called on TikTok?
Hey,
Would you
I'll
put it on
send you
it?
the link,
Send
and
me
you
the
can,
link.
you can sign up. See?
If you don't
every
have
TikTok
TikTok, do
I
you,
put
Peter?
up,
But what was it that was on there?
it's just a clip
You
of
remember?
you talking in this about the
Oh,
policeman,
Remember the
about,
policeman, your
oh,
friend
okay,
of 14.2
and
thousand
and
views?
everyone went nuts. It's
Have
very
you?
topical. It's very topical because that
well,
copper has just
I
been
actually,
arrested for shooting people.
well,
So
I think a good topic, and Margaret will get a bit of a laugh out of this because she'll relate to it. But our police are exerting their powers a little bit extremely in over the last, especially over the last few years. The shit they carried on with in COVID and stuff like that. It's just they just think they can do anything they like. Like I had an incident with the police. We can probably talk about it now. We can talk about whatever. But it was they waltzed into the hotel, Bayview Hotel. You know, Adrian can relate to it. Margaret was there, and there would have been 12 policemen. They just barged through. They were pushing people out of the way. And it's like I just turned to my mate and I said, "Look at these fucking parasites." And you know what? They heard me. They just grabbed me, whipped. I was handcuffed within 3 seconds. I was out the door. And you know what? They picked the wrong bloke. I just give it to them. Margaret come in, and I was yelling, screaming at their face like a publican. Luckily, he's a friend of mine because he come up to me, he calls me Yuli because most people call me Yuli. And anyway, he said, you can't yell at police like that. I was just yelling at him. I wouldn't understand them. I don't know if you know a policeman ever says to you, do you understand them? Never understand them because it means you stand under them. And that's just a little technique they do to contract with you. But I was yelling and screaming at the top of my voice saying, what did I do? What law did I break? And you know what? The commissioner or whoever was running the shit fight, she's come over and she said, and I was making, like I said, what law did I break? No one was telling me. I said, am I under arrest? They wouldn't say. And no one would commit. And then she's come over and said, okay, sir, have you settled down now? She said, if we release the handcuffs, will you leave and go home peacefully? I said, yeah, of course I will. And it was interesting, but it was quite empowering. And to
was that
just
at the
yell,
Bayview?
Yeah.
So what was it about?
Last Friday night. They just waltzed in. And they did the same thing New Year's Eve, and they turfed one of my mates out. He was standing there, and they just shoulder charged him in the back. And like, what are you going to do? What are you going to say if someone does that? I mean, he was a cop. Like, what gives them the right to just
tell you what to
through?
say? You tell you what to say, Peter. You got to say, "Are you arresting? I'm having a succulent Chinese meal. This is democracy manifest." Like that guy.
All I know is I went to the bathroom, came out, he's out the front, yelling and carrying on, the handcuffed. I'm going, what the freak happened?
I knew
Like
I should
that.
have gone there. I had a feeling to go down and meet you there last Friday because I was at home. And I thought, I bet they're down there and I bet I could go down and have a beer with them. Because, I mean, you do it almost every Friday, right? And I thought, I'm not doing anything tonight. I could do with a beer down there. And I'm so pissed off I didn't go now. I would have seen a show.
Well, this was later on in the evening. This was
I
the
wouldn't
band.
say it was exactly fun. It wasn't exactly fun to watch, to be honest.
Oh no, I've been in
Don't worry, the
raids.
TikTok universe is going to hear about this now.
I've been in raids when they've raided bars in Hong Kong and Thailand and stuff, but I can see in Australia is just
it's going.
You're gonna have some resistance, you know.
Well, one of the things
they
that I
got plenty of
hated was
resistance
down in
back too.
Victoria with COVID, how they got the army to go up and enforce the law, or the army to go up against the people who were protesting. And I thought the army was there to protect us, not to go up against the citizens.